Hello minasan, this is Yuki, your Yellow Intimidation Viewer Elf, and today I'm going to talk about mecha anime. Actually, I don't know so many mecha anime because among all the genres of anime I have watched so far or have a given chance, most likely the mecha anime is probably the least popular one in my list. And so, in this list, it's every mecha anime I watched since I was a kid until now. So, you can see the level actually. I'm not the expert out there, I probably don't know so many of them, but the ones I'm recommending right now are really the best of the best. Like, even for a non-mecha anime fan like me, they work it out so well. Some of them can have really old animation, some of them slightly more modern ones, so I hope that you bear with me, and also let me know if you watched any of them, or if you have any matching good recommendations according to my taste. I would definitely give them a chance. So, let's start. To begin with, I will try to explain to you in very few words why I don't watch as much mecha anime. And the answer is quite simple. First of all, because of the themes. Like, it's often about this space war and like these evil enemies and super, I don't know what, like big machines upgraded out of nowhere that attack others. And sometimes that's all it is. Like, there is hardly any kind of like legitimate background story or character development out there. I'm not saying that every mecha anime is like that, but a big chunk of them just goes on that kind of principles. And the other problem for me actually is the fact that they excessively use ecchi moments, like in a very excessive way, and the camera angles can be quite problematic. Like, it's even sometimes distracting, like, why this angle? How can I read the subtitle? What is the character face? So this is my the first thing that I'd like to say. The first mecha anime that comes to my mind, to the minds of many people out there who would love to watch them, is Geass. Yeah, Geass is a highly political anime. You might have thought about it more like shonen, seinen type, but it's also a mecha anime in the end of the day. And it was released in 2006, and it has 2 seasons, 50 episodes, 1 movie, or maybe more, I think 1 movie, and some sequel right now airing called Geass Rosé of the Recapture. And that's what made me want to talk about it first. The sequel seems fairly interesting, although kind of different from what we would expect from a typical Geass vibes. Yeah, kind of different really. But I still have hopes for it. I'm gonna keep watching it for the next few weeks or months. And then, let me give you a bit of summary about the story in case you didn't watch Geass, so that you get an idea about it and then maybe give it a chance, or maybe rewatch it if you want to. In the year 2010, the Holy Empire of Britannia is establishing itself as a dominant military nation, starting with the conquest of Japan. Renamed to Area 11 after a swift defeat, Japan has seen significant resistance against these tyrants in an attempt to regain independence. Lelouch Lamperouge, a Britannian student, unfortunately finds himself caught in a crossfire between the Britannians and Area 11 rebels, armed forces. He is able to escape, however, thanks to the timely appearance of a mysterious girl named Sisi, who bestows upon him the Geass, the power of kings. Realizing the vast potential of his newfound power of absolute obedience, Lelouch embarks upon a perilous journey as the masked vigilant known as Zero, leading a merciless onslaught against Britannia in order to get revenge once and for all. Reasons why this anime is absolutely amazing. And the main focus, I would say, the political side, ideological side of it. And some of the themes that you will encounter frequently in Geass are rebelling against the previous generation, and the younger protagonist of the show question and then rebel against the social and military order established by their parents. The ends justify the means, another theme that you should keep in mind while watching Geass. And the serious protagonists often commit highly morally questionable actions in order to further what they believe in to be the greater good. And you get other themes like rebellion versus revolution, and there are some biblical story kind of symbolism coming from it, like the Jesus sacrifice thing, where, well, you all know this, I guess. It doesn't matter what you believe in. At the end of the day, you know about the Jesus sacrifice and what that means in the Christianity and what that could mean also in other works of art or literature in general. And these are the main themes. Probably there are other arms you might have spotted yourself. I think it's good. I think the reason why I got so much into Geass at that point, and even now, and that I didn't sleep for almost more than 48 hours to finish the 2 seasons, is because like how engaging it is despite it being mecha. Like mecha has never been the main issue there, even though they walk in this big tank machines, whatever, and even though they have this super enduring machines, that has never been the main issue of the show. The show has much more engaging topics and dialogues and ideological focus than whatever you might assume at first. Moving on to the next anime I would like to introduce to you today is called Darling in the Franxx. And I think Darling in the Franxx really got its own share of criticism and popularity in 2018 when it was released. It has only 1 season, 24 episodes, and I think I can understand why some people might not love Darling in the Franxx, but I can never agree. So, yeah, before I dive into discussion about why Darling in the Franxx can be a good or not so good show, first of all, let me give you a small summary regarding it. The distant future, humanity established the mobile fort city, Plantation, upon the ruined wasteland within the city were pilot quarters, is known as the bird cage. That is where the children live. Their only mission in life was to fight. Their enemies are the mysterious giant organism known as Kuro. The children operate robots known as Fraxx in order to face these still unseen enemies. Among them was a boy who was once called a child prodigy. Code number 016, Hero. One day, a mysterious girl called the 02 appears in front of Hero. I have found you, my darling. Why would mechas sometimes put this rule where they want a boy-girl pair up? And here the purpose in Fraxx pilots reflects how the two can continue the cycle of life and lay the foundation of the future. A variety of themes are introduced, such as dystopian environmentalism, coming of age, romance, and mecha science fiction. Real-life themes used heavily, such as teenager marriage and pregnancy, sexuality, religious propaganda, and military use of children. So these are the kind of themes that you would encounter so frequently in mecha anime. And I think they are fairly interesting, but it depends on which angle you take it from and what kind of conclusion draws in the mind of viewers after they finish the show. Do the show glorify and justify such practices? Does it criticize it? Does it somehow create another perspective on it? So there are many ways to talk about it. Some people think that Darling the Franxx actually had potential but failed to explore it in detail, or like somehow the story was rushed at some point in second half of it. I think since it had only 24 episodes, and that was probably almost the whole story that they were planning to deliver, I think it was good. It delivered what it promised. This is my own conclusion. It's not at the level of Geass, certainly not. But if you are looking for something simple, cute, it has some romance, it has a bit of drama, maybe a lot of drama, then yes, you can go watch Darling in the Franxx. And the opening is so addictive, believe me. The next anime I'm going to talk about is a seasonal one. And probably this is a very unusual situation where I ended up actually watching a mecha anime as a seasonal anime. But I think there is a good explanation to that. It is called M3 Sono Kuro Hagane. It was released in 2014 and it has 1 season, 24 episodes. In a dark void known as the Lightless Realm, a group of children meet and bond, but are then separated and returned to their own dimensions. Years later, these children reunite to fight admonitions, monsters that originate from the same void, using robots known as Vess. However, their efforts only slow the ever-enriching and expanding Lightless Realm from infecting their world. Their lives take a dramatic turn when new foe appears in the form of corpse, whose song is rumored to kill any who hear it within 9 days. The corpse song is heard by the group, and with this, they each begin to pull away and become caught up in their own personal problems, ultimately threatening the fate of humanity. So, as you might have already guessed in this summary, the story is not going to end up well. It's actually probably in the genre of melodrama. It's like melodrama, mecha drama, seinen, and that's it. But that's why I got into it. I was like, yeah, this is interesting. I was for a while. Something so dark. I would love to see that. So, themes that this anime covered are probably despair, survival, coming of age, and use of teens in war. Not so much depth to it, but I remember it left me really so much sad inside. And I sort of felt for the character, and I felt like everything makes sense. Some people didn't like how rushed the story might have been at some point, or they were not happy with the expected side ending anyway. They were expecting everyone to get saved and to get salvation. But I think that it was a good change, you know, that not always the mecha heroes are the mecha heroes until the end. So I would actually suggest it. It's maybe like comforting to watch it. Yeah, so go ahead. You asked me why I started watching Aquarion Evol. Honestly, my own answer again is because, yeah, I am so deeply into shoujo anime, or anything that has a hint of shoujo, that you can literally kidnap me with one shoujo volume. It was released in 2012, has 2 seasons and 34 episodes. But again, Aquarion Evol itself might not traditionally appeal to typical mecha fans. Why? Because it's very colorful, it's very cute. Its main core topic is actually romance. I mean, I don't even remember the story anymore, it's been so many years ago, but I remember I watched it because of that. That's it. Like, after 12,000 years after the events of Genesis of Aquarion, mankind living on the planet Vega is threatened by a new enemy from the planet Altair, whose female population was wiped out by mysterious disease. The Altians, using their abductors, just like the Shadow Angels, invade the cities of Vega to kidnap the inhabitants, looking for females strong enough to survive in the interdimensional travel back to Altair to ensure the preservation of their race. Please, kill me. Tell me that you didn't guess the story. Tell me that any of everything that's coming up is not predictable now. So, as you might have already known, the themes are going to be coming of age, romance, cute mecha, most importantly romance. Yeah. And a lot of mecha jargon thing all over, you know, like about the machines, whatever. You might want to give it a chance, or you might not want to do so, but I think if you are not the type who's into mecha and it's like you are looking for your second, third anime in order to get into the genre, this might be a good entry point because it's not heavy on the side of machinery and it's more like watching mecha shoujo thing. So yeah. The one I'm gonna mention now is definitely a classic. Something that people who were into mecha or people who were not into mecha must have watched it like 10 years ago. And if you didn't guess already, it's Guilty Crown. Well, Guilty Crown got so popular back then to the point that people who are recommending Naruto, One Piece, Death Note, they would also name at some point Guilty Crown if you didn't watch it. And the good thing about it is that it appealed to many people, but again, nowadays you would have your own criticism. Back then, a lot of people didn't really accept that there is any kind of criticism for it. So it was released in 2012, it has 22 episodes. Frustrated with the state of the nation, a resistance group named the Funeral Parlor aims to liberate Japan from the GHQ. Led by the charismatic Gal Tsugami, the group pilots to steal a vial containing the Void Genome to further their goals. The vial falls into the hands of internet vocalist Inori Yuzuriha, who ends up being hunted by the GHQ, anti-body's forces. Having nowhere to go, she seeks refuge in a warehouse where she meets Shu Oma, a socially awkward high schooler student who is a huge fan of her music. Shu gets dragged into the conflict the moment he rescues Inori, and the Void Genome shatters in his hand, granting him the power of the kings. While learning how to control his grand new ability, Shu must now fight to liberate Japan from its cruel oppressors. What will happen to Inori, and will they ever be live free out from being chased by GHQ or the other liberation forces? So, this is what the story is going to be around mostly. I remember the Seiyu cast for this show is really interesting. I really recommend that you check it out. Cute and romantic moments. I wouldn't say it's it's not fully blown shoujo anime. It just has like these kind of cute moments together, which I really love. And has good thrilling cliffhangers. Some episodes really, especially starting from the second half, it gets much faster pace and it gets more interesting, like it gets you hooked at that point. It can be a bit boring in the middle. I remember I stopped at Guilty Crown for so many months or maybe even years, and then I came back to it and I finished it together. Too much mecha sci-fi jargon explanation, which is I'm not fond of. Usually I can handle a certain level of it, but if they go in too much detail and they spend like half an episode speaking about that, I'm so done. I don't want that. But I know some people, that's what they are actually looking into, so I cannot really judge here. It needs patience in some way. I have to point out that for people. Guilty Crown is a bit frustrating mess, but it is still entertaining enough. And this is something that has been said by one of the commentaries, and I totally agree on. Yeah, so now I'm going to move on to the next mecha anime that I have on my list, and it is called Sakura Taisen. Sakura Taisen was released in 2000 and has 22 episodes. And to be honest, I watched this really so long ago, like maybe when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So probably I didn't really remember the details if you come to me in the comments and say something about it. But I would say the reason why it stuck in my mind for so many years, like when I saw the photos I immediately recognized it, it's because it was actually the very first like anime, or let's say mecha anime, where the main character were female. Like they are the main character, not the side character, not the wife, not the love interest, not anything like that. And I remember I was so surprised but so amazed when I was a child. And also, I adored so much their outfits, especially Sakura herself, the one who's wearing the kimono or yukata. It was really so beautiful. I was like, oh my god, they're so beautiful. I mean, I didn't think that's possible. So, to give you a brief idea about what is this story about, it is in the 1920s, and Japan is under attack by demonic invaders. The government has designed a sturdy albeit steam-powered robot armor suit for the impending battle, but only young ladies with the proper combination of the virtue and spirit can pilot the robot successfully. Enter young Sakura, arriving in the Imperial capital from the countryside to join the Imperial Flower Combat Troop. She has the qualification to be a fine robot pilot, but she's surprised to learn that this secret defense force has a cover story as a musical theater troupe, and they take their cover job very seriously indeed. It's costumes, line reading, and robot combat galore, as Sakura struggles to learn the ropes, learn her lines, and do her part to save the nation. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to find reviews for such an old show, well, between parentheses, old show, but I remember I loved it. I remember it was fun. I watched it in Arabic dub, so that's all I can say about it. Please watch it if you are looking into something classic, interesting, and also kind of refreshing, because it's not just about robots, it's about being part of a theater trope, which I remember was extremely funny. Next one I'm going to present to you now is one of those really rare mecha anime that has a special place in my heart. And I know by heart the Arabic dubbed song. I haven't looked up the Japanese one, but I think the Arabic one is special. And I remember falling in love with the main character, one of my very first loves, 2D first loves ever. And it brings out so much emotion, so much patriotism, nationalism, feeling. So Yeah, I mean, I think you already maybe have an idea what I'm speaking about. It's called Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, and it was released in 1996. It has 49 episodes. United Earth Sphere Alliance is a powerful military organization that has ruled over Earth and space colonies with an iron fist for several decades. When the colonies proclaimed their opposition to this, their leader was assassinated. Now, in the year Alter Colony 195, Victor colonial rebels have launched Operation Meteor, sending a powerful mobile suit to Earth for vengeance. Built out of virtually indestructible material called Gundanium alloy, these Gundams began an assault against the Alliance and its sub-organization Oz. One Gundam whose pilot has taken the name of the slain colony leader, Hero, Yu, is forced to make crash landing into the ocean after an atmospheric battle against Oz ace pilot Zex Marquez. On coming ashore, he is found by Relena, Peacecraft, daughter of a peace-seeking politician, who witnesses Hero's descent to Earth. Although neither of them realize it yet, the encounter will have a profound impact on both their lives as well as those on Earth and in space colonies. Yeah, there was a bit of romance there, but I think that as a child you don't really pay as much attention. And also I think the main focus of the story was on the Gundam fights and on the machineries and the upgrade and stuff like that. But another point I would like to point out, and I think it's funny that we accepted all as normal back then, or as logical kind of setup, is that when the hero himself sometimes speaks something against the antagonist or the villain in his mind, the other villain, while fighting, replies back to that comment in his mind too. Like, none of them spoke directly, there is no open contact or call or anything, but they reply to each other's thoughts by telepathy or something. So I don't know why I never thought that was weird in any way, but then when I grew up I laughed so hard regarding that. So thank you, bye bye.